UFC Fight Night 217 is the next abomination served up by the UFC this weekend, and I am absolutely buzzing for this one. This might be the worst card on paper in UFC history, but having said that, there have been times when a card seems incredible on paper and just falls horribly flat, and adversely, cards that look nauseating on paper somehow turn out to be acceptable or better. The silver lining here is that there is some potential value here for you filthy gamblers, so let's work with that energy and look at the main card of this one. So, this starts with the first fight and the opener on the main card, and this one is genuinely a bit of a head scratcher for me. This is a lightweight matchup between Alex Hernandez and Jim Miller, so it's not the matchup that's a little off to me, it's the odds on this one that make zero sense. Perfect for a gambler, let's make some money. Hernandez was once a really good looking prospect, but famously talked a lot of shit in the build up to his fight with Cowboy Donald Cerrone, one of the most chill men in the sport, and consequently his disrespect got the mollywhopping that it deserved. You should have watched your mouth, son. Now, despite being humbled in that experience and looking somewhat dangerous at times, he seems to be demonstrating the same glaring weakness in every fight. The man has serious gas tank issues, and I see this being a real problem in this one. He's stepping in on short notice against a veteran in Miller that keeps defying the odds, and despite the actual odds being really wide here, I'm pretty confident that the old dog will do it again here. Miller is pretty old, but he's wily and durable, and I think if he gets out of the first round, Hernandez isn't going to have shit for him. Now, amazingly, you can get Miller at almost plus 200 on the money line, and that is way too juicy for me to turn down. This could be a bit of a trap, but there's nothing to suggest to me that Hernandez can overcome the issues that have overcome the more recent part of his career. I think Hernandez looks very good in the first round in this one. He fails to get Miller out of there, and then he starts puffing wildly at the end of the first. The tide starts to shift dramatically. I think Miller sticks to him and either finishes Hernandez in the later rounds or sees out a unanimous 2-1 on the scorecards after losing the first. I have to take Miller in this one, and there is huge value in that. The odds makers might be tricking me here, but I'm going to take a bite. Miller to take this. In this absolute barn burner of a card is the mandatory bout these days between the fatties. Both these men are fat and shit. I don't understand how human beings think it's okay to turn up on television for a fight looking this disgraceful. How can a job that's centered on being in the gym allow you to turn up looking like this? I really don't get it. Now, I've said this before because I'm serious. Anyone that's fat, doesn't like training, have a go at heavyweight. You can still make it regardless of age or athletic background. Top 5 is fine, but outside of that, it's just terrible. I'm taking Pogues. Parisian lost to Parker Porter. What else do I need to say? We saw what happened to that mess of a man last week. Pogues at least has some hands. This is going to be scrappy and horrible, and both men are going to be blowing for air hard in this one. I just think Pogues is less crap and should have better moments. Enough said. Now, looking at this whole card, I don't know how this one isn't the co-main. Not that it's a particularly good fight or anything. William Knight does have some notable wins. One against Alonzo Menifield, somehow. And he has looked very, very good lately. He had a nice draw with Crute at the weekend, talking about Menifield, of course. Now, despite this win, Knight is just not very good. I don't know if he's too muscled up and possibly fighting at the wrong weight class. He should probably shed some pounds, maybe try and move to middleweight. I know he's a little bit tall, but if he could shed some pounds, he might help to negate some of the problems he's having. But he's got serious tank issues. Now, this is a very dangerous fight because Prachnio has a glass chin, and he's been flatlined a few times, so this is really a worry to me. I think Knight's going to be very dangerous in the first round. I think he's just going to go for broke. He's going to swing for him. He obviously doesn't train that much. I think he's just going to go for it. I think he knows he has the power that if he goes for it, he can potentially knock anyone out in the first. I just think that Prachnio is the better fighter. He clearly spends more time in the gym. If he can be smart and not get drawn into a firefight in the first round, I think he'll wear Knight down with damage, potentially finish him in the later rounds, or maybe eke out a 2-1 decision. This on the odds is a pick'em, so there is a little bit of value here, but it comes with a massive risk. I'm going to take Prachnio. I'm not hugely confident. Prachnio might have to survive some really hairy moments in the first round, but I think he's going to come through. Now, a lot of people shit on Jordan Wright, and don't get me wrong, there is something iffy with this guy, so I get it. His decision-making in the cage is so confusing to me, and I just can't pick someone that is this dumb. He seems to be like the master of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And while he's someone you categorically should not bet on, I've made this mistake more than once with him. At least he's quite exciting to watch, and I give him a lot of credit for that. In his last fight, he had Dusko Todorovic really badly hurt in the first round, and all he needed to do was be patient, but he got way too excited trying to go for a finish and just gassed himself out. I suspect he has some learning difficulties, to be honest. I can't pick someone who must be betting against himself. It's the only explanation I can think of for some of his in-cage choices, especially lately. He got KO'd really badly more recently than Pauga, but that's kind of the problem here. We've got two guys in a main event that both recently got slept. Maybe that's kind of the thought in why this is placed so far up the card, because it's almost guaranteed to be fireworks. Can't say I really understand the choice beyond that, but it is what it is. I think Pauga is just less idiotic, and I think he'll be a bit more patient. He'll overcome some difficult moments in the first where Wright's at his most dangerous. Would I be shocked if either man won this fight? Definitely not. But I'm going to take Pauga to be slightly more measured in there. I think he'll keep his gas tank until the second and take over to get a second round TKO. Wright is usually the bigger man in there and will not be in this one. So I think Pauga catches him and finishes him with ground and pound in the second. And then Wright gets packed off back where he belongs to the regionals. This is the co-main event. It's the co-main event. Madness. All right. Now, I usually have a moment on the card where I go for a risky pick. And while I can say I've done that with Miller, given how amazing this card is, I'm going to do it again. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Now, I'm going to be real here. I made the mistake of watching what the MMA guru had to say on this one. Normally, I wait until after I post my videos, or I try to post my videos first. And I had made my pick on this one when the fight was announced at some point last week. I have to admit that his opinion on this one may have swayed my confidence a little. Now, we all saw Andrade earlier in the year in her fight with Lauren Murphy, which was basically the female version of what Holloway did to Qatar a few years back. Absolute beatdown, and would usually have been pretty hard to watch. Murphy kind of showed the old crackhead wobble and managed to somehow survive until the end in that one, probably shaving off years in her career in the process. Andrade is very experienced, very explosive, a trait that you normally don't associate with women's MMA. She's very well-rounded, and only a complete mongoloid would pick against her. She hits like a man and has that lesbian power. There, I said it. Now, to be honest, this is actually a massive gamble by the UFC for a few reasons. Andrade is a great contender, but if she wins here, there is very little value in seeing her fight Weili again. She got destroyed, and Zhang just looked better than ever. I think she's the best female fighter in the world right now, in my opinion. Blanchfield is young and showing incredible dominance in her ability to drag women to the ground. And when she gets them there, she doesn't just lay and pray, which I hate. She has really good ground and pound. She did show this against Molly McCann and a few others. I think Molly McCann's trash, but I'll get into that another day. But that's another thing you don't really see in women's MMA. You don't see women taking others to the ground and beating them up when they're down there. So if she loses, it's another contender down the drain in a division that really needs fresh people there. Personally, I think this is a massive jump up for her at this stage. but I'm going to go against everyone else here and pick her to get an upset win. Andrade is taking this on short notice, and frankly, they both have attributes that could see the fight go in either direction. Now, as you know, when I see a clear path for the underdog, I usually take a chance, and I really see that here. I think if she can be smart and keep distance and just wait for her moments, she might be able to get Andrade down and hurt her there, and that could take away some of Andrade's power. There is the alternative reality, of course, where Andrade just boxes her straight in the nose and Blanchfield doesn't know what has hit her. But I think Andrade has struggled with women with her fighting style in the past, and I'm taking a punt that she'll struggle here. I'm probably the only person you'll see making this pick, so there are big risks here, but the odds reflect that. I was almost swayed by the guru, but I'm going to stick to my conviction here. I think Blanchfield wins and emerges as a fresh and interesting matchup for the top three. She wins, you could see her maybe get Rose or Carla, or maybe even the champ. The division is a little bit thin right now. Alright, so let's have a look at the safer and more dangerous picks for this card. I think Parisian and Pogues going the distance is a realistic shot. I think they're both really scrappy and don't have much finishing ability. So I think there's a fair chance that these two go to the distance. Usually not the best play to make at heavyweight, but I just don't think they're both very good. Having said that, Pogues on the money line is also a decent shout. I've got Jordan Wright and Pauga to end in a finish. Either way is quite a safe play. I don't think this one goes the distance. I've got William Knight and Prachnio to end in a stoppage. Again, either way. Andrade to win on the money line would probably be the safest one if you're one who doesn't like to take much of a long shot. Now, looking at the long shots here, I've got Jim Miller by TKO or money line. He is very wide on the odds, and I think if he is going to win, there's a good chance he finishes the fight. TKO or submission would be a decent shout. I think there's a good chance Hernandez gasses out, as I said. Prachnio to win on the money line is a long shot because William Knight is potentially dangerous in that first round. I've then got Pauga to win by stoppage. I think even though a long shot, if you place him at those odds, you should be able to get a boost in odds. And Blanchfield to win on the money line. All right, so I've got an overall record this year of 29-16. I got robbed massively on the last card. I've got an overall record of 29-16 this year. Should be a lot better than what it is, and that brings me to a 64.44% win ratio so far in 2023. The aim by the end of the year is trying to remain over 60%, so I'm well on track for that. So tune in for the card reaction, which will come on Sunday morning. I am starting to release a few more shorts now, so usually when a bit of news pops up, I will react to that in just like sort of some 30-second to a minute videos, so look out for those. Might be a good idea to turn the notifications on if you're interested. But yeah, thanks as always for the support, and I'll see you on the next one.